Hi, it's Billy from Magnum United Shooting Range. We're here at Magnum United Shooting Range to talk about approaching a shooting bay, both rifle and handgun. I've just signed the range register and familiarized myself with this range's rules. I've also been assigned a shooting bay for the caliber and the firearm that I'm going to shoot with today, be it a handgun, rifle, shotgun, or any other variation of firearm. In order to approach the shooting range safely, most ranges expect you to have your firearm in a holster, bag, or box. We do not carry open firearms on shooting ranges. It is also expected that your firearms are unloaded. So if you arrive at the range with a loaded firearm, go to the nearest hot box or safety area, unload it, make sure there is no magazine in the mag well, make sure the chamber is empty and the firearm is safe. We try not unload our firearms on the shooting bay itself. It is always good for a safety officer to see shooters with their firearms in bags, boxes, or holsters. Upon approaching your designated bay to shoot on, have a look at both the information signs and the warning signs. Make sure that range is suitable for the firearm and the caliber that you are shooting that day, and that it will meet your needs. Also have a look for red flags that should be displayed all over the shooting range to indicate that live fire is actually going on the shooting range. Make sure that the warning signs and the information signs are clearly displayed and that you adhere to them. If the bay is for handguns only, that is designed for your safety. Do not shoot shotguns or large caliber centerfire weapons on those bays. There may be ricochets, there may be a safety infringement. So always observe your information and your warning signs on approaching your bay and entering the shooting range itself. I have all my kit in a bag, box, or holster. My firearms are unloaded and safe. I'm now ready to approach my shooting bay and carry on with my shooting activity. While approaching my designated shooting bay, I observe any information and safety signs that are displayed, as they may be the difference between your safe shooting experience and potentially causing a hazard, injury, or harm to yourself or someone else. As you can see, no smoking is allowed on this shooting range, and this bay is only for handguns. So I will keep my rifle in its bag until I've done my handgun shooting. I will then pack away my handgun, all my safety equipment, and I will move to my designated rifle bay and let the range officer and staff know that I have departed from this bay and I'm moving to another one. Just for safety reasons, so that they know the bay is free and I myself have moved to go shoot a different caliber. It's always good to call the shooting range before you arrive there if you're unfamiliar with their setup, to find out whether they have tables and seating available for you. If there is no seating or tables available and you want to bring your own, again, ask the shooting range before you arrive there. It is always beneficial to work off a table if you have multiple firearms, if you don't have holsters, or if you have people shooting with you who do not own their own firearms. We try and avoid handling firearms without them being passed to one another. We want as much safety as possible, keeping the firearms downrange, and minimal handling between people. Handing over firearms which are loaded is very dangerous. So we try and work off tables, from holsters, and keep everything safe for everyone involved. Now that I'm safely within the bay I've been designated, I know this is a handgun bay, so I will not be touching my rifle today until I go to the rifle range. We can safely unpack. I've checked for flags. I've had a quick look at the berms. I'm happy with the berm heights. I feel safe, and I'm facing down range. I can now proceed to unbag, unbox, or unholster my kit that I brought with me. Please remember when you arrive at a shooting range to always have eye protection and ear protection, number one. For myself, for anyone else shooting, and for spectators. Every person on the range is required to wear ear and eye protection whether they are shooting or not. My personal firearm, which I arrived with at the range, I've already made safe at the hot box. I will double check, chamber check. I will look for empty. I will make sure there's no mag inserted into the mag well. I will, in a safe direction, drop the hammer, and I'll place the firearm downrange. I do have a secondary pistol with me, a new one. It will come out of the bag. It is still in its box. I will make sure that I open it safely. Make sure at home before you arrive at the range that the firearm is indeed unloaded. There is a magazine in. I will jettison the source of danger. I will again chamber check, make sure that the firearm is empty in the chamber and in the mag well, safely drop the trigger, and I can place it back in its box or flat on the table, downrange or in a safe direction. So today I have a friend with me, Danielle. She is not a license holder and she wanted to shoot some firearms. The law says the firearms always need to be under my direct control as the firearms license holder. Whilst Danielle doesn't need a competency or a license to shoot with my firearms, the firearms and the ammunition must always be under my direct control. So I may not leave the firearms here and go to the bathroom or leave the range with the firearms unsupervised. Even though Danielle is my friend and I trust her, that may not happen. The firearms always need to be under my direct control at all times. That includes the ammunition, the firearms themselves, and the general going-ons in this bay. I am responsible for every shot that gets fired and for my guest who has come with me to the range today. I've ensured she has eye and ear protection, as well as me. Whether she is shooting or not, we need to maintain everyone's safety at all times. I have my eyes, I have my ears, and now that Danielle has been briefed by me on what to expect for the day, where downrange is, what to do and not to do, we can carry on shooting, we can load mags, and we can make a little bit of noise on the range. The reason tables are important are not only for user friendliness and to be able to operate at the appropriate height, but also for safety. What we are trying to avoid is people moving from a safe designated space to a target which they have designated, shooting and walking back with their firearms in their hands. Albeit the firearm is safe and we can see the slide is locked back, firearms break, parts of the firearm break, there may still be a live round in the chamber. We know that downrange is the only safe direction for our firearm. So once we are done shooting and the firearm is safe, we either holster or place it back in its bag, and then can we turn around and go back to where we were. However, the purpose for the table is that we can safely work off of the table from our holsters and not have to move back and potentially turn around and flag passers-by or turn our muzzles uprange. We try and keep muzzles downrange at all times, always in a safe direction, always finger off the trigger, either in a holster, a box, or a bag. We do not want to be walking and exchanging firearms in an unsafe manner. Always downrange, always safe, always secure. I've now concluded my shooting session with the handguns. What I would do as good etiquette is I would yet again safety check all my firearms, make sure they're in a safe travel condition. I will make sure there is no ammunition in any of my firearms. I will pack my firearms away. I will secure my firearms in their holsters, and I will now proceed to the rifle range to go shoot with my long gun. I'll inform the range officer that I've left this range and I'm done with my handgun shooting and that I'm going to continue shooting on the rifle range. I've now concluded my pistol shooting session on my dedicated bay. I'm moving off to the rifle range with my long gun. After informing the range officer that I've vacated my handgun bay, I'll now proceed to the rifle bay and I'll show you how to unbag your long gun safely. When approaching your designated shooting bay, there are generally going to be shooters on one or either side of you. Let's be considerate of other shooters. Nobody likes having a firearm pointed at them. So there is good etiquette and bad etiquette on a rifle range. Firstly, we are going to keep our firearm, our rifle, our AR in a bag until such a time as we are ready to take it out and place it on the table downrange. So with my trusty rifle bag in my hand, muzzle up, we will start the unbagging process by unzipping it, maintaining control of the firearm inside of the bag, up in a safe direction, not flagging anyone in front of us. I will then open my bolt. If the bolt is still in, I will check my chamber, make sure my firearm is indeed unloaded. I will then retrieve my firearm from my bag, keeping the muzzle up. If you have a bipod or shooting bags, place the firearm with the bolt open on your designated table so that everyone around you can see that the firearm is safe. it is now also in a safe direction. Sometimes people will remove the bolt entirely. They might use a muzzle safety flag, any sort of device to show the people around them that the firearm is empty. These are all acceptable practices. What we do not want to do is take our firearm out, swing it in directions that we don't want people pointed at with a closed bolt. We want to show people that the firearm is safe. We keep it in a safe direction. Should something go wrong and a shot goes off, everyone around you is safe. It might be embarrassing, but we would rather have the shot go up and away from all the other people than it go off in the general vicinity of other shooters. So I'm going to place my firearm down on the table, downrange, action open. Everyone can see that it's safe. I might have my safety chamber flag inserted. At that point, we can then remove this. It is also good practice if we are shooting with a silencer. We want to attach the silencer while the firearm is horizontal, not upright. Silencers generate a lot of carbon buildup in the baffles. If you insert it upright, that carbon may fall into the chamber, into the barrel, causing obstructions, and you may have an accident on the range. So at this point, I can now attach my silencer. Be careful not to cross thread. It's safe, and everyone around me can see what I'm doing with my action open. Whilst I'm working with my firearm safely pointed downrange with my action open, I want to be aware of progressing past the shooting point, past my muzzle. If I'm past my muzzle, it is likely that I'm past the muzzles or in front of the muzzles of the other shooters. We want to avoid moving forward while other people are shooting. In that case, if you have enough working space, we always advise that you use the entire bench. You've got a whole bench at your disposal. Some are bigger than others, some are smaller than others. If I wanted to work with my firearm, I would move it back safely so that the protruding muzzles are still in front of me. I can access my weapon, I can work with my silencer, I can tinker, I can do whatever I need to do. And when it comes time to shoot, I'm yet again going to place my firearm where I need it and carry on my shooting exercises. I've always got my ears safely nearby, I've got my eyes nearby. Often when people come to the range to shoot with telescoped rifles, they insist that they cannot shoot with glasses on. This is untrue. Get correct eyewear to be able to shoot at a public range. When you did your competency, it very clearly says in your competency manual that eye and ear protection is mandatory during all shooting exercises. If a shooting range doesn't insist that you wear safety equipment like glasses, it is unsafe. You are required by law to wear proper PPE when shooting. Eye and ear protection, as well as appropriate range attire, including closed shoes, no pluckies or sandals. Now that I've set up my weapon, I'm ready to shoot. There may be other shooters shooting at the same time. As there is no range officer here today, I would speak to my fellow shooters. We would all declare our firearms safe, open our actions, and we would then together proceed forward to go either put up new targets or have a look at our shots on paper. So we can safely go ahead and do that now that everyone has communicated our firearms are safe. We can safely move forward. Whilst I am in control of my firearm and my firearm safety, in the heat of the moment, some people do forget, not out of maliciousness, but out of negligence or out of sheer excitement for the shooting day. Once I've opened my bolt and I've checked my firearm is safe, it is always good to see what state of readiness your fellow shooters' firearms are in before you move forward beyond the shooting line. Check that their bolts are open, make sure their firearms are safe, and just have a good communication with your fellow shooter about what they are doing as well as what you are doing. I've now concluded my shooting session with my rifle. There may still be other shooters shooting at this point. I am still required to keep my eye and ear protection on while I am bagging my gun and while I'm packing up. Shots are still going off, accidents can still happen, you may still experience ricochets. Let's keep our eye and ear protection on. I'm now going to go into the bagging process of the rifle. I will once again do the process in reverse. I will lift my muzzle, my silencer has already been removed. I will collapse my bipod. My action is still open, so all the other shooters can see that my firearm is safe. I will retrieve my rifle bag, and whilst keeping it in the upright position, I will place it back in the rifle bag. I will zip it up securely and make sure it doesn't fall out. I don't knock it out of zero. Now that my bag is completely closed, I will return it to the downrange position. I will pack away my silencer. If I have one, I will pack away my ammo. It's always a good idea to take a beat after you've been shooting. Shooting is fun, it's adrenaline fueled, and you're going to have a lot of adrenaline coursing through your body. You need to calm down before you leave the range and get in a car. Have a word with your fellow shooters, decompress. Once again, I'm Billy, and this is Magnum United Shooting Range. Thank you for joining me about approaching and departing shooting bays. We'll see you on the next one.